At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too. Because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
Well, good morning, everyone. Well, if you didn't have a chance to check it out, this is what it looked like here in, this is Modoc County, one of the cameras from the alert camera system here. You can see the aurora just kind of doing this little dance there. Look at that, really taking off here. And then, of course, as we start getting into sunrise, we're not going to be able to see it, but beautiful nonetheless. I want to thank you, those of you. A lot of people this morning sent in some of their photos from last night and early this morning. This is from Brian. Look at that. You see that little bit of that purple hue in there. We've also got, courtesy of Catherine Schmidt, checking this out. Also, same area. There you can see some of the darker shades of those purples in there as well. See, that was the main color, right? This is coming in from Viola, just northeast of Shingletown. I want to thank Sue for sending in this photo. There you can see some of the colors there. We're also looking out at Oak Run this morning. This is sent to us by Judy Fields. That nice flag right there. Kind of a nice picturesque shot right there with the northern lights. And one last picture coming in from Ryan Garner. This is out in MacArthur. Again, that seemed to be the color. I had a chance to go out there with my wife last night. We didn't get to see anything. We actually went to an area where it was darker, put our cameras out, couldn't see it. So that was a bit of a bummer here. But if you have a photo you want to share, whether it's Northern Lights, your pet, whatever, a beautiful shot, you can send them from the free Weather NorCal app. Just like all of those photos, by the way, that you saw were sent through the free Weather NorCal app. So thank you so much for using the app. Dense fog advisory until noon today. Boy, that fog really did kick in. In fact, many of you in Glenn and Butte counties didn't get to see the northern lights because of the fog. That fog did work its way northward. We've got some pretty low visibility out there. We are less than a quarter of a mile in many cases. We haven't seen fog this dense in a while, folks, so just give yourself some extra time. Take it easy out there on the roads. And that dense fog is going to stick around most likely through the morning hours. That's why that dense fog advisory is in effect until noon today. There you can see out in Main Street, Chico. There it is. Look at all that fog that you're seeing out there. This is Highway 99 at Neal Road. Very dense fog. Even just yesterday, you could see the radio towers off in the distance, not even close to that. The fog was a bit more dense earlier this morning on Highway 44 at Sundial Bridge Drive, but we're seeing that in the Redding area. This is above the fog looking down into the valley. You can clearly see that fog is certainly the case. Meanwhile, on the coast, you're seeing fog there, but there's also a beach hazard statement in effect here until 8 o'clock here tonight. So just be aware of that and the risk for sneaker waves. Here's a look at your Krueger's Quickcast for your Tuesday, January 20th. Temperatures this morning, upper 30s, low 40s in the valley. Still very cold in El Tourist at 18 degrees, 21 degrees in Susanville, and low to mid 40s for the coast. All right, let's take you out the door this morning. There's the fog that we're going to see in the valley, Trinity County, the coast, western Siskiyou County in Scott Valley, seeing that fog as well. And mostly, by the way, it's not just the fog, but we've got those clouds moving in. Now, the sun, we're not going to see the winds pick up, that's for sure. The sun is what can help to evaporate and erode those clouds away. But if we've got clouds overhead, which you can see those clouds moving in, that will impede some of that as well. So that fog may persist a bit longer than what the forecast models are indicating. By midday, it's showing it really kind of burning off. I'd say it'll probably burn off first for the north end of the valley, and then it'll take longer as you head down to the south. Now, we may see that return again tonight and tomorrow morning, and then as we take you into Wednesday night and into Thursday, we may see that fog move back right in. But remember, I was talking about if you have calm winds, well, those calm winds aren't going to erode the fog away. So as long as we have those calm winds, which you can see here, through tomorrow, even Thursday, that's not going to help. Mount Shasta Ski Park is still open, 26 inches at the top of Douglas. It is groomed. They've got thin cover. Be on the lookout for those hazards out there. And by the way, they do have a competition out there. The region, our region, including Shasta High School, UPrep, Enterprise, Foothill, Mount Shasta, the city of Mount Shasta, Etna, just name a few, all competing today. So good luck to all of them out there today. Temperatures are going to be in the low 60s. Now the temperatures you see here, especially in the valley, are completely going to depend on how long that fog sticks around. All right, so for tonight, there you can see in the low to mid 40s for the valley, teens and 20s for the higher elevations, especially off to the north and to the east. So there's your 7-day forecast. Now I've got morning fog for Redding and Rebel Up. It may last longer than that today and maybe even tomorrow. And I think there's a better chance for it persisting through the day in places like Chico. And again, those temperatures will really depend on how long that fog decides to stick around. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast for the coast, inland, and for Trinity County. No big changes. We're going to keep it dry for the next 7 days across the board. And that also includes Siskiyou, Modoc County, and the eastern mountains. By the way, that Scott Valley area, seeing that fog. Take a look at Lake Oroville. Looks like things have cleared out a little bit there. You can see, we just see off in the distance some of the clouds that are moving in overhead. But it's that fog around North Forebay. Look at that. Very dense fog. Is that a UFO? What's going on here? No, I think that's just a boat or something. They got a light so some people can see them. It looks like maybe a kayak. Take a look at Main Street Chico, right? Main Street and Highway 32, looking like some pretty dense fog there. This is Highway 99 at Neal Road. I mean, you can barely even see the traffic lights off in the distance here. This is where we're seeing quarter-mile visibility or less. You can see Highway 44 at Sundial Bridge Drive. We are also seeing some pretty dense fog in areas around the Redding area as well. This is again above the fog, so this is you get into that above that temperature inversion, and you can clearly see the valley getting socked in with that fog. Here we go again, right? Take a look at Crescent City Harbor District. Looks like the camera froze up on us, but we did see some of the fog and some drizzle out there this morning. This is a look at Bald Hill West. We're seeing the clouds kind of try to break up a little bit here. And you can see no fog out there looking out at Soda Ridge, but we are seeing a lot of those clouds moving in that are coming in from the southwest. And no surprise, we're seeing that fog in Fort Jones. We're also looking at a lot of snow right now still out at Lassen Park, and just some high clouds kind of filtering on in this morning. Again, taking a look at some of the images coming in from Ryan Garner. I wanted to show you some of those, but we showed you those a little bit earlier. All right, let's take a look at our headlines. So we have more mountain valley fog, especially Trinity County, along the coast, inland valleys, Scott Valley, right? But now the Sacramento Valley is getting in on that. We saw it yesterday afternoon, evening for places like Chico getting sucked in with that fog early on, stuck around overnight, and we're still seeing that fog here this morning. It may stick around all day and for some of us in the valley. Temperature's not as warm this week, still above normal though. Next chance for rain near the end of the month. I may be able to take that question mark out here in the next day or so, because confidence is getting a little bit higher, at least for a little bit of rain. Nothing major at this point. All right, we're going to get into all of that in our Deeper Dive forecast, sponsored by Shasta Hearing Aids.
Hearing isn't just about sound, it's about being part of every moment. This isn't your grandparents' hearing aid, it's a smart hearing aid for modern life. It's Bluetooth enabled, easy to control from your phone with your personal prescription, delivering the clarity you need. All that technology at half the cost of competitors, so you never miss a moment worth hearing. With our Here For You program, you get personal care and support every step of the way. This is what quality care sounds like.
All right, so here we go. That fog has returned, and it's going to stay fairly persistent through a good portion of the day for some of us in the valley. Bottom line, this morning we've got dense fog, less than a quarter mile of visibility in many cases. You need to give yourself that extra time. And there you can see some of the visibility. Again, less than a quarter mile in some cases. That should be 0 as well for Willows, by the way. That's a bit of a typo. But there you can see Weaverville, Hayfork, also seeing that fairly dense fog out there as well. And we're also seeing it along parts of the coast and even into Scott Valley. Now temperatures fairly cool, upper 30s, low 40s in the valley. Look at it, it's much colder off to the north and east, teens and 20s there, mid to upper 20s out towards Trinity County, and looks like along the coast, you're looking at temperatures low to mid 40s. So here's what the fog is looking like. Based on the model, it wants to burn off, right? But I do think that there's a very good chance places like Chico and even Willows may see that fog persist through a good portion of the day. Hey, let's do it again here for tomorrow. Looks like that fog will return here once again here for tomorrow morning, and then possibly burning off by the afternoon, and then maybe even going into Wednesday night and Thursday morning. So we talk about the winds. If the winds are calm, that is a factor that's not going to kind of scour out that fog. So as long as we have calm winds, the fog is not going to scour out, and that'll be the case at least through Thursday. But check this out. As we go into Friday, the wind's picking up a little bit here for parts of the valley, but look at that along the coast, 20, 30 miles an hour. We'll have to kind of watch for that, see what happens with that. But outside of the fog, by the way, we've got some clouds coming in. You see there's an area of low pressure spinning right here. That is helping to pump in those clouds. We still have high pressure in place. So a lot of those clouds are eroding by the time they get over us, but a lot of those clouds will make its way through, and that is going to be also an impeding factor not only for our temperatures, but an impeding factor for burning off that fog. So you can see we have a bit of an area of low pressure undercutting the ridge. That may bring a few showers for Southern California. Very light, by the way, and the main impact for us will be cooler temperatures and some clouds moving in. But we have another ridge of high pressure right here building in over the weekend. That'll keep us dry, that'll keep us sunny, that'll keep us warm, just not as warm as it has been. And then this is what I've been talking about here the last couple of days. This ridge of high pressure as we go through next week, if it holds, if it builds, if it gets stronger, what it will do, let's say this builds like this, what that'll do is cause this to dig to the south, and then as a result, it tilts that more northward. So any storms over the Pacific will want to ride up and over that ridge. So look how we barely miss the storms through Tuesday. But we're seeing signs from all of the models that the ridge will start to shift down to the south and east. And if it does that, that opens the door, my friends. We're talking about the potential for that rain. So any storms over the Pacific have that potential to move in. Let's take a look at that from a standpoint of rain, right? So again, you can see the area of low pressure, slight chance for a few showers, Southern California later on this week. High pressure builds back in as we saw that. That'll give us the warmer temperatures. Still some clouds though, by the way, a dirty ridge as we call it. Still allows some of those clouds to move in. But there it is. We take you into Tuesday. You see how we still have that ridge? You see how it wants to push that energy to the north. Still maybe some showers along the coast. But then as that high pressure moves out, look what happens. We see a chance for some rain. Again, it's opening up that storm door. It allows this storm to move on in later next week as well. So the potential for rain next week looking pretty promising. And you can see here, based off of the latest Climate Prediction Center, still backing off on that. We're still seeing a lot of inconsistencies. We can't necessarily say for sure that it's going to rain. But you can see that the Climate Prediction Center is seeing is toward the end of the month, beginning of February, we might start to see some of those chances for rain. But the problem is warmer temperatures. This is going to keep those snow levels fairly high. And that means, say the ski park, lower elevations of the ski park could be looking at rain on top of snow, which will mean, unfortunately, snow melt. So we can only hope we can maybe bring in some colder air. Still a long ways out, folks. We're not 100% confident that it's going to rain or even not rain for that matter. But we're beginning to get closer to saying, yeah, right, we might be looking at rain toward the end of the month. We'll see. But in the meantime, we'll just kind of have to watch it closely. Temperatures are going to be above normal, but as you can see here, just barely, just by a few degrees here and there. Taking a look at the lake levels, they are still very healthy out there. We're over 130% in most cases. And there you can see that beach hazard statement here for today and tonight. We've got that risk for sneaker waves. Just be careful out on the beaches. But we are expected to see those wave heights begin to drop as we do go into your Wednesday afternoon. And looking at your marine forecast, you can see south winds at about 5 knots. No advisories in the forecast. So here's your neighborhood forecast, sponsored in part by Dignity Health. We're dry for the next 7 days. Now there will be some drizzle in some areas along the coast with some of that fog, but even the valley may see some drizzle as well with some of that very dense fog. 61 for Orleans as well as Hoopa, 63 degrees for Gas Key. Look for a temperature of about 50 in Hornbrook, 46 in McDowell, and 58 degrees in Dunsmuir. Modoc County, You've got temperatures in the 40s and 50s there, looking at dry conditions most likely through at least early, if not into the middle of next week. Out towards Susanville, you can see temperatures are starting to drop a little bit here. Your valley neighborhood forecast to the south. Now these temperatures, again, as I mentioned here, they are strictly going to depend on when and even if that fog develops. I put the word fog in there for Chico on Tuesday, Wednesday, because you have the better chance of that fog persisting through the day and in the overnight hours. Better chances for the fog clearing out later on this afternoon, in particular for the north end of the valley. That would mean warmer temperatures. But if the fog persists, instead of low 60s, more like the mid to upper 50s for those daytime highs. So yeah, it looks like we definitely do have some of that fog out there. It's fun. You know, it feels like this is something we've been talking about here for over a week now, but now it looks like it's finally beginning to kind of take shape. We've got that all moving in. Haven't had a chance to check in with all of you this morning. We got a few people, a lot of people actually checking in. Lisa Stevens saying happy Tuesday, all. Have an amazing day. Lisa saying good morning. Forgot to look last night at the sky. Thank you for the pictures. Absolutely. I want to thank everybody. Don't thank me. Thank everybody else for sending in those pictures. So glad that they did that, and through the app. I love that you're using the app. And that is the easiest way for me to share photos, by the way. I can take them off of Facebook. That's great. But there's several steps I got to do to make that happen. But it's a one click and boom, it's right there in my system. It's awesome. Good morning from Jay. We've also got Lisa Strickland saying, I thank everybody. Yeah, she said she thanks everybody for sharing the pictures. Yes, thank you, everybody. Barry saying good morning. We've got Catherine Schmidt, which she sent in one of those pictures this morning. Sorry you missed the lights. It was so cold out there. To be watching. I'm sure it was certainly colder up in those higher elevations. That is for sure. Constance saying, good morning, people. Enjoy your day. Clear higher elevations around Wairika. That's where Constance is coming in from this morning. And we've got good morning, Mike. Sure miss you on Q97. Yeah, well, but you know what? You can listen to me on K Shasta. You can also listen to me on KQMS. But let me just say there is a lot of bureaucracy that went into the reason why I'm not on Q97 anymore. That's all I'm going to say. There were a few things that went into that. All right, take a look at Mimi. Hey, how you doing, Mimi? Nice to see you. Glad to see you on the channel this morning, saying thank you. We've also got Curtis Brown, one of our regulars, saying good morning, Mike and everyone. And Callie is saying thank you from Lake McCumber. So thank you all for checking in and chiming in this morning. We're going to leave you with a couple more photos and a couple more images coming in. We're also going to leave you with one last look at the Aurora Borealis. This is what it looks like earlier this morning. Look at this though. Kind of wait for it type of moment. And wait, maybe I missed it. Maybe I got a little ahead of myself there. Oh, there we go. Look at that big dance right there. How awesome is that? Absolutely love it. Well, that's going to do it for us this morning. Hope you all have yourselves a great rest of your day. Take a look at some of these images. We will see you tomorrow morning bright and early on Coffee with Krueger. Have yourselves a great rest of your day.